Sensoyanes presents Aliyah and Jon. Read by the author. Musa, Balochistan, Pakistan, 1995. Wait, Aliyah called out to her sisters. Latifa, she said, getting closer to the group. Esmeralda. The group was headed to the sisters' house to study for the English final. It was hot and humid. Vendors selling soda and juices were lined up not far from their school. Nasir, her cousin, looked at her amused. Where was that energy when you were running from Ali and Malik before English? He teased. Shut up, ugly, she retorted. She turned to her sisters. Wash my leg. Guys, she exclaimed. My friend Mary, you know, whose father is the cousin to famous actor Amir Hamishi, told me that he's coming to Sarah's wedding this weekend, Aliyah squealed. She had been obsessed with Amir since she first saw him in Hello Mumbai, the series. He played Tariq Hassani, a college student from Pakistan who studies in Mumbai. Amir was pretty. He had full lips, nice brown skin, and had studied in Musa University like Aliyah wanted to. She wanted to become a doctor, just like her aunt, Seima. She got her degree and then immigrated to the United States, where she had met her husband, Yiras, who was also Pakistani. They married and had Sarah and Hazim. Aliyah fondly remembers the games they would play as children, whenever her aunt, Seima, and her family came to visit. Now Sarah is getting married to her childhood crush, Ryan, who was a musician and teacher in Pleasant Creek, Virginia. His family was from Gaza and had moved to the United States after the death of Ryan's father's grandfather. Oh, Aliyah, her sisters exclaimed. Latifa went to one side of Aliyah, while Esmeralda stayed on the other side. Give it up, woman. You will never be. Ha! Latifa said, agreeing. It's silly. Angered, Aliyah pushed Esmeralda off her. At least my fantasy has a chance, unlike you, she said, looking at Esmeralda. Her sister gave her a death glare. Pleasant Creek, Virginia, 1995. In the United States lives Jonathan Martinez. He lived in a mansion that was built by his father, Raul, in 1989. Raul Alberto Martinez had immigrated to the United States in 1987, fleeing bloodshed and violence caused by the Salvadorian Civil War. He settled in Washington, D.C. There he met Rosita Analia Jimenez, who was from Colombia and was studying French at American University. They married in June 1988 and bought a plot of land with the money that Rosita's great-aunt gifted them. In those days, life was difficult for the young couple. Raul worked as a dishwasher and a cook in 2 restaurants in downtown D.C. Rosita was lucky to get a job as a French teacher in the D.C. public school system. Things began to change when they met Clifton James, a businessman who was trying to start a restaurant after losing everything on Black Monday. Rosita and Raul became good friends with Clifton, and together started La Onda, a Salvadorian and Colombian restaurant in the Adams Morgan neighborhood in Northwest D.C. The restaurant proved to be a success. In 1990, construction began on the Martinez mansion. Just this year, they have finished the pool. After numerous attempts of having children, Raul and Rosita adopted Jonathan, Andres, and Mateo. The boys' parents had been killed in a massacre in the town of Palmas, El Salvador. They had been saved by their grandparents who took them to San Martin. However, unable to take care of them, the boys were placed in an orphanage. Rosita and Raul knew they could provide the best life for the children and didn't want to separate them. They put the paperwork in and paid what had to be paid. Now Andres, Mateo, and Jonathan lived a privileged life in the United States. All except Andres recall their life in El Salvador. He is resentful of his grandparents for having given them up. Mateo hopes to one day find his grandparents and who knows, maybe other family members. Jonathan, for his part, is too busy being a teenager. That's how he got into this mess. Currently trying to explain how he got his car inside the Davidsons' pool. Again. Look, Mr. Davidson, I can explain, he spoke. Oh yeah? In anger, Mr. Davidson yelled. What now? I was talking to my girlfriend. Oh, hell! Mr. Davidson said. He shook his head and took a sip of his coffee. Hey, man, what's up? Mr. Davidson and Jonathan turned to see Adrian, his mom, and little sister. Oh, my God! Mrs. Davidson exclaimed. What happened, honey? Interior of the Jimenez Mansion, 1995. No, Mrs. Jimenez said, clearly running out of patience. She walked over to the girl. De todas las chicas del mundo que se tuvo que enamorar de esta loca, she thought. I'm not convinced, Anne said angrily. She was at the Jimenez mansion. Demanding to see John. Look, little girl, my patience is running out, Mrs. Jimenez said again. So that you either go away by yourself, or I'll get security to escort you out. Anne chuckled. Why were they always so difficult? Nestor's family had been the same. But some rat poison in her coffee had gotten rid of the problem. She needed John, or else she had to do what Jill was doing, waitressing like a slave in a cafe. Mrs. Jimenez turned to call Manuel and Charles, and that's when she felt the first stab. You should have minded your business. Another stab to the chest, then a third to the neck. Don't worry, it'll all be over soon.